good to ask once in a while the fundamental question, what is all this study about? What is this self-knowledge about? Why are we going into the Upanishads? Are we charmed by the Sanskrit? Are we charmed by the fact that these are all very ancient? Is it because we are so identified with so-called our heritage, Indian heritage? What is it? We clarify that it's none of those. It is actually certain truth, certain profound insight that very much is in the Upanishads, in the Vedanta, and we have all the reason to believe that upon gaining that insight, upon getting that profound knowledge, our sorrow ends. We can be supremely happy without anything coming in the way. Rest of it are secondary. If such a knowledge were to be available from anywhere else, we would go for it. But we study this Vedanta, and pretty soon we realize, wow, we get certain glimpses, we get certain intuitive grasp of something so meaningful, something so wonderful. One of those very wonderful truths, in fact, the most wonderful truth, is being taken up in this 16th session, or you may call it the 16th episode of Know the Upanishads. And in this episode, with just 3 or 4 slides, taking just 2 mantras of a certain Upanishad, we shall see how there is a very, very extraordinary contemplation on what is the highest truth of, on one hand, this universe, and on the other, of ourselves. So we are going to plunge into a pair of mantras in the Kathopanishad again, and those mantras I shall now present. So here we are. We have the title slide. Pondering the ultimate reality. And just once more, it's not just intellectual curiosity. Knowing the ultimate reality, all our sorrow, limitations, negativities, name it as you like, all of it comes to an end. So what is that ultimate reality? Knowing which sorrow ends and unbounded happiness ensues. The pair of mantras that we shall take up now have at the end of the 8 lines this line: Sa kashta sa para gati. Sa kashta means that is where it all stops. That is where it all culminates. And sa paragati, that is, it is the supreme destination. Gati can mean where you need to reach. Anything else you reach in life, for a little while you will be happy, but pretty soon you feel you are you are back to square one, as they say. Sa kashta sa paragatihi is the eighth line or the eighth quarter of two mantras, each having four quarters. So this is about the supreme truth. How does Lord Yama, the teacher in the Kathopanishad belonging to Krishna Yajurveda, develop thought, develop the line of thinking to bring us to a certain appreciation of the highest truth? The first mantra goes like this: Indriyebhyah parahi arthah अर्थेभ्यश्च परं मनः मनसस्तु परा बुद्धिः बुद्धेरात्मा महान् परः. In Vedanta, really speaking, we explore outside as well as inside. After all, the outside and inside are intimately connected. Even when we see a distant star, that sight of the star cannot be separated from the capacity of our eyes to see. We may hear a sound coming kilometers away, but the ears hear them or hear that sound. Therefore, ears, as a part of our personality, and the sound from far away are not really separated. Therefore, in the Vedanta, in the philosophy, we look at the entire universe, in a sense, resting upon our senses. If we were not to have one of the five senses, imagine we have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Suppose we don't have eyes, 1/5 of the so-called world, so-called universe is just not there for us. It's taken out. In addition to losing sight, imagine we don't hear. Another 20% gone. We don't smell anything. Another 20%. We don't have the touch of sense. Another 80% gone. And imagine if we don't have the sense of tasting also. We can't distinguish salty from sweet. We can't distinguish sour from bitter. Then all these five sense perceptions taken away, is there universe at all for us? You may say, whether you perceive the universe or not, the universe is. Vedanta gently asks you the question, are you sure? There was a man once who believed that wherever the English alphabet S, STUVWXYZ, so S, wherever S is found in a certain word at the beginning, and the very next second word, second letter is a vowel. So the man believed then it is uh, yeah, it is always pronounced as sa, like Saraswati. If there is a vowel, like simple, SIMPLE, S is followed by I. Safe, S is followed by A. Or summary, SUMMARY, or summer. S is followed by U. A, E, let's say set. For C, A, E, I, O, U. Take some letter from O. S, O, M, E. S is pronounced as S, not Sh. So he came to Bernard Shaw and said, Mr. Shaw, you are supposed to have extensive knowledge of the English language. Will you contradict me if I say there is no word in English which begins with S and has a vowel next to it, but all the same is pronounced as sh? You have a cinema show. There, yet you have, let us say, some other word uh, where to bring out the sound of sh, you know, you have to have, let's say, h. Typically, h comes. So, is there any word where a vowel comes, not h, at the same time it is pronounced as sh? So he said, this man said, there is no such word. You know, Bernard Shaw asked him, are you sure? For a moment, the man didn't understand. I'm very sure there is no word which has S followed by a vowel and yet has the, pronunciation of Sh. But in that question itself, Bernard Shaw gave an example. Yes, U R E. U is a vowel. Though after the letter S you have the vowel U, it is not Sa, it is are you sure? Sure. I gave examples. Other places where there is U, sunny, it's a sunny day. Sunny. Or summary. Or the hot, summer is very hot this time. Safe. Or take you only. There are a number of words with you, but the word sure. For that matter, there is one more too, sugar. Sugar, sugar. Though there is the vowel after it, it is pronounced like sh elsewhere. You say should, you say shovel. There are a number of words having s and h. They give the sense of sh. But there do exist one or two words which have a vowel u and yet have this pronunciation of sh. So when the man came and said, there is no word where there's a vowel after the letter S in the beginning of the word and it's pronounced as sh, Bernard Shaw asks, are you sure? Like that, when not a man or two men or three women or four ladies, whole world tends to say, whether we see the universe or not, the universe is. Vedanta says, are you sure? Are you sure there is a universe when there is no one to sense it, no one to perceive it? This is a profound philosophical question. In Zen Buddhism, there is a koan. If in a certain forest there is no animate entity, human beings or animals or worms or insects or birds, no one who is animate, who is with life, to hear the sound. And then there is no one to hear the sound. In a distant forest, suppose two tall trees fall down. Is there a sound? Zen Buddhism has this call, this puzzling question. If there is no one to hear, is there a sound at all? Ordinary thinking, like the man who approached Bernard Shaw and believed very, very strongly that there is no word with S as the first letter and a vowel as the second letter that has the pronunciation of Sha, like he believed that way. In this world, everybody believes, whether anyone hears or not, the trees that fall in a distant forest will make sound. But Zen Buddhism also proposes that is a long held belief, that is a tremendous conditioning in you. Actually, the world doesn't have independent existence. The world is validated by our sense organs. The world doesn't exist by itself. Ramana Maharshi, using the word loka, says, Dhiya sahodeti dhiyastameti. There is a verse in Saddarshana. With the intellect rising, the loka, the world also rises. You are sweetly ignorant if you think whether the intellect, mind, and senses are around or not. The world by itself is. No, no. These are some of the strongly held beliefs. A lot of beliefs influence our Vedanta study too. Vast number of Vedanta students and even teachers believe that the dream is the result of waking state impressions. A small number have questioned it, and the one who questioned that belief that what we see in dream is the effect of what we see in waking state was Swami Satchidanandendra Saraswati. We'll not go into it now. That's another very sweet belief that dream, in dream, whatever I see has as the cause for it in the waking state. But Swami Satchidananda Saraswati makes an extraordinary and eyebrow raising statement. The dream state, with its time, with its space, with its causation, is an independent entity. It has no relation whatsoever to the waking state. And most Vedantins, even today, do not agree with him. Unfortunately, most of them don't study his teachings carefully. They have no idea actually what makes him say it. Leave it at this. So, coming back, these two mantras help us change our way of seeing life, seeing the world, seeing what happens to us, our victories, our defeats, our youthfulness, our old age, our birth, our death. All of these presently are such that we have certain views about them. We don't realize that it's because of certain views, certain beliefs we have about these factors or these issues that we are panting, we are anxious, we are sad, one day we are happy, one day we are depressed. Vedanta turns all these beliefs upside down. Very much like a few centuries ago, not before, the scientists showed to all humanity that the earth is not the center of the universe. The earth, in fact, number one, rotates around its own axis. Number two, goes around the sun. No one had thought about it before. So there are certain truths. Please don't take Vedanta too lightly. Don't take it as some intellectual entertainment. There are certain truths that Vedanta reveals to us. If you calmly, without any bias, listen to those revelations, your worldly life will collapse like a house of cards. Indriyebhya parahyartaha. in the present predicament, in the present situation, where there is apparently a world which seems to be real to us, and there is apparently we having a body, having senses, having a mind, having an intellect, and all that. Both these seem to be unquestionably real. So Ramana questions, Dhiya sahodeti dhiyastameti lokastato dhi pravibhasya eshaha Dhiloka janma kshayadhama purnam sadvastu janma kshaya shunyamekam. There is a verse in Saddarshanam. These are mutually dependent, quote and unquote, realities. They are not realities, but they become real. Relative to the world that you see, the eyes, ears, etc., get a certain validity. Relative to the eyes that see, the world gets validity. So, in Buddhism, they have this concept, Pratitya Samutpata. I think it is called Pratitya Samutpata. Some such word. Pratitya means facing each other, they together get validation. It's like, I come to one of you and pat your shoulder. You are such a wonderful person, I say. You pat my shoulder and say, you are such a wonderful person. No, no, you are great. And you say, you are great. So we pat each other on the backs, on the shoulders, and a third person is laughing. These people are certifying each other, and neither of them is great. They hardly know anything. I give you an award. Next year, you call me on a big platform in your town and give me an award. Yesterday, I chanced upon a certain Ayurveda manager in Bangalore. He's owner of a big company. He's owner of a big Ayurveda company in Bangalore. He has posted on LinkedIn or somewhere, or Instagram, somewhere he has posted a protest. He says, what is going on? There are so many know, bodies that have sprung up in the world, especially in India, I guess. Some name they take, they register it, and then they give certificate to somebody that he is a qualified Ayurveda doctor. Then he has this certificate, he knows some jargon, he knows a few things, and he starts practicing. So Mr. Rajiv Vasudevan, who has this company called Apollo Ayurveda or something, whom I happen to know some time back and have met a few times. That's how I read it. What is Rajiv saying? I just checked. Rajiv Vasudevan is the chairman of a Ayurveda company of certain substantial activities. He says all these bodies issuing certificates to Tom, Dick, and Harry that they are qualified Ayurveda doctors, giving them titles, Vaidya, and so on, have to be brought under scanner. The union government, its health department. There is some Ayush department, you see, in central government of India today. So the Ayush department has to check who is this giving a certificate, what is their own credentials. Like that, see. I say, what a big word. Eyes, mind, buddhi, and so on. Vedanta says, before you call the world great and strong and majestic and beautiful and blah blah, question the credibility of the senses, of the mind, of the buddhi. Yama raised a question in those good old days. In this, what Vedanta calls adhyasa. This is the adhyasa. This is a certain superimposition upon pure awareness. Sat Chit is the truth. There is nothing else other than Sat Chit. Is the mind-blowing revelation of the Vedanta. And Vedanta says, if there is anything other than Satchit, it is questionable. But when seemingly there are not one or two, but hundreds of things other than Satchit, among them there is a hierarchy. The outer and the inner, all of them have a hierarchy, something superior, something less. Now we come to the mantra. There's one more mantra. 10 and 11 are our selected mantras. Indriyebhya parahyarta. Start with the indriyas, start with the senses. And indriyebhya means compared with the senses, eyes, ears, nose, and so on, the objects of perception are superior. Normally we think that these indriyas are superior. But in this mantra, seeing from another angle of view, the opposite view is given. Shankaracharya promptly explains. He says the sense objects, like suppose you see an apple, are your eyes superior or is the apple superior? Here, the apple is superior. Apple or orange, whatever you see, whatever you eat, whatever you hear, the logic given by Shankaracharya is in a certain process of creation to see, to perceive, to enjoy the objects, the eyes and ears came into being. For their sake, these came into being. Like in university, certain posts are created because there is a certain field of study and they want professors and students to get into that. That field exists. Take for example, there are countless kinds of creatures within the sea. And universities have some departments which study those creatures under the sea, aquatic creatures. There are stars, and to study those stars and the distant space, etc., you have astronomy and astrophysics and all that. So, first of all, those objects to study have necessitated these professors and students. If they were not to be, why would these professors and students ever get into picture? So that's the logic Shankaracharya gives. So in that sense, objects are what made possible indriyas to arise in the creation. Arthebhyascha param manaha. So subtler than both indriya and artha with sense objects, the mind which feels happy or sorrowful. Manasastu para buddhi. The third artha, first is indriya, second is artha, mana is third, buddhi is fourth. Buddhi is even evaluates one step further. Buddher Atma Mahan Para. I am giving a simple meaning. Shankaracharya gives a little different meaning in his Bhashya, taking it to one level deeper and all that, but that's not so necessary. Cosmic intellect, single intellect of one person. In contrast to it, there is the total intellect. That is called Mahan. And even higher than Mahan, earlier we saw Indriya, Artha, Manaha, Buddhi, and Mahat. Mahan in crude form is called Mahat Tattva, 5. And higher than Mahat is the sixth principle, Avyaktam. As we will see in the last slide later, Avyakta, Shankaracharya says, just as in a Vata Kanika, in a seed of a banyan tree, Vata Kanikayam Iva, Vata Vriksha Shakti. That little seed, upon being given the necessary conditions in the soil with enough of water, enough of sunlight, and so on, becomes a huge banyan tree. Just as the seed has the capacity to emerge as a huge tree, here we have the Avyakta. And that is the sixth. Seventh is Purusha. So totally from Indriyas up to Purusha, it is 7 levels. Purusha is by context pure awareness. Satchit. So we generally use these two words, Satchit. In the next slide, I will be again throwing light or drawing your attention to how Shankaracharya, for the word Purusha, uses the expression Chinmatra Ghana. Purushat means Chinmatra Ghana. Purushaha is Chinmatra Ghanaha. Chit is pure awareness. Object or no object. Name and form or no name and form. Pure awareness principle is Chit, Chinmatra. So we have Purushat na param kinchit. Yama categorically says there is nothing whatever superior to Purusha. Sa kashta, sa paragati. That is the highest and that is the ultimate destination. A question arises when you say A is higher than B and C is higher than even A, D is even higher than C. X is higher than X is better than X is greater than Y. On what ground? Using what criteria? We take recourse to Shankara Bhashya again. The word para is given. Indriyebhya para yartah artebhyascha param manah manasastu para buddhi buddher atma mahan para. Para is the word used for something superior. Shankaracharya gives three criteria. Sukshma, something more subtle. Subtle means more pervasive. Mahanta, it is of greater significance, greater power, greater display of its might. And Pratyagatma Bhutashta. Spirituality is something is deeper and deeper inside us. Because something far away from us doesn't matter, something happens to it. You live in Bangalore, let us say, you have gone one day to market, city market. Bangalore has one city market, Krishna Raja market, Krishna Rajendra market. You have gone to city market. Then you get the news that your house in Basavanagudi has gone on flames, fire. You will be so disturbed. But suppose you have some old house somewhere far away, not much valued, distant, at a distance. That has something happened to it. That's also lost, no doubt. But okay, we'll look into it. So if something is closer and inside you, so much more valued it is. Therefore, Sukshma, Mahan, and Pratyagatma Bhuta are the three, as I've given, more subtle, greater, and being more inside. Pratyak means inside. In that sense, all these seven have been mentioned. So when you say Purusha, which is pure awareness, by some teachers it's called pure consciousness, pure existence, pure consciousness. The adjective pure distinguishes it from the consciousness which is with certain content. The content of the mind also is used. Content of the mind also is called consciousness by some authors. Therefore, to distinguish it, pure consciousness, the very principle of knowledge, not any particular knowledge. The principle of knowing pervades all that you know. You may know millions of things. In all those forms of knowledge regarding those millions of things, running through all of them, there is a certain principle of knowing. That is Chit. And that is Chinmatra. Shankara makes it very clear. Purushat here means Chinmatra Ghanat Param Kinchidapi Nasti. Vastvantaram, something else. Vastu, thing. Antaram, some other. Some other thing. Antara means other. If you go from one country to another country, in Sanskrit we say Saha Deshantaram Gata. Desha is by reference, by context where you live. Deshantara is another country. You want to Deshantara, Bhashantara, you translate from one language to another language. Vastvantara, another thing. There is no other thing except pure awareness, Satchit principle. That is how Uddalaka in the sixth chapter of his Chandogya Upanishad talks about the subtlest Anutama, Sukshmatama, Mahattama, Pratyaktama, inmost, subtle, bigger, and inmost. Once and just once I had the chance of meeting Swami Ranganathananda of much fame. I never met him from close quarters. I think I once heard a lecture by him standing 300 meters away, I guess. But one time I went to Ramakrishna Mission, 1983, I guess, in New Delhi. And I heard he was giving audience. He had come there. I went. And it was a privilege and a pleasant memory for me. I also sat with some 20 people who were around him. And that time he was explaining this line. Much later I realized that it was from Shankara Bhashya. He's saying what is higher, what is lower. And he exactly gave these words. So he was quoting from Shankara Bhashya, Sukshma, Mahan, and Pratyekatma Bhuta. That is what makes anything para. Otherwise, it is lower, apara. Para and apara. So, this is a lot of food for thought. And let me conclude saying, in spirituality, you want to rise, let go of your obsession, your attachment, your excessive involvement with the gross, position yourself in the subtle. Let go of sthula. Just engage with the sthula as much as your duty requires. For Arjuna, fighting the war was his duty. It was not out of some animosity or some revenge or some kind of negative energy. It's not because he looked at Kauravas as worthy of getting killed and so on. If Kauravas had not done any injustice to him, if they had not grabbed his land, Arjuna would not go and fight. Let them live. Live and let live is the philosophy of Sanatana Dharma. So, when it is your duty to engage with Stula, engage with many things in life, if your conscience, your inner voice says this is your duty, kartavya, but when your inner voice, preferably well informed by satsanga, spirituality, well informed by some discussion with competent, wise teachers, when your inner voice says, hey, this is just you are chasing a fancy, this is a crazy thing you are doing. This is unnecessary. You are wasting your time and energy here, dear, says the conscience. If you want to rise spiritually, let go of it. If deep inside you feel this is stula, gross, and none of my business, I want to take up the sukshma, subtle. Is that your business? You must have the clarity of scriptural study to say, it is my business, it is my only business. My only business to make my life sarthaka, truly meaningful, is to engage with the higher. If I am not able to do it, I will study, I will contact wise people who will guide me, who will show me, who will train me. Then I will catch what today I am unable to catch. Therefore, that movement from gross to the subtle, to the subtler, to the even subtler, until you and I realize we are that indestructible, pure awareness principle. Rest of it all is a passing show. We do not lose anything. We do not gain anything. We don't need any of those. Our happiness is unconditional. Our love is unconditional. Our peace is unconditional and uncaused, and no one can take away peace from us. Other day, somebody sent to me a WhatsApp message. You want to be a masterpiece? Then learn to master peace. Learn to master peace, P-E-A-C. Then you will become a masterpiece, P-I-E-C. Play of words, but with certain nice message. Om Namah Paramarashibhyo, Namah Paramarashibhya. All right. Namaste.